What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about this little guy. It is the Cobra RAD 700i radar detector. Let's take a closer look and we'll get it installed in the truck. Okay, so here's the box it comes with. I can't wait to review this thing. Cobra is more known for its entry-level radar detectors, but after all the research I've done and the reviews I've read, they seem like they really knocked it out of the park with this budget-friendly radar detector, but also kind of loaded with features that you'd see in more higher end detectors. So this is what the machine looks like right here. This is your radar detector. The only other things you're going to get in the box is some paperwork. You're going to get your 12-volt power source, which typically you would just plug it into your cigarette lighter. That's kind of how you would power it up usually. We're going to do something a little bit different, which obviously I will share in this video. And then you have your mount. So this is going to be a windshield mount, and this is what it looks like. Very easy to snap on and off if you want to take this detector off of your windshield for any reason. Basically, the square end right there just goes into that front end like that, and it's magnetic, but it is super sturdy, rock solid. You'll see when we put this on the windshield, this thing isn't going to go anywhere. If you want to remove the detector, instead of having to take the whole thing off the windshield, you literally just pop it off the mount like that, and then you can unplug the power cord from the side, take it off the windshield, and put it wherever you want to store it. To get this thing mounted, it honestly could not be simpler. All you're going to do is remove the white backing from the suction cup, and that's very sticky right there. And then it also has the lock right here that you're going to be able to push down once we have it to the windshield. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the radar detector on there just so I can kind of make sure it's nice and level. So let's go ahead and get this up on the windshield. Just pick wherever you want to mount it. You can mount it down low. I'm gonna like mine kind of central, and I'm actually gonna put it right to the right of my dash cam. That way it's kind of out of my sight, out of mind, but yet I can easily view it if I need to. When I'm driving, it's gonna be kind of positioned behind my rear view, so it's not going to obstruct my view. Just take all that into consideration. The other reason I'm going to mount it right there is it's going to make it very easy to hide the wiring to how we're going to run it to power. All right, so go ahead and just whatever location is best for you. I'm going to just stick this up to the windshield like so. Once you have it stuck to the windshield, you can see how sticky that is. I didn't even lock that tab in place yet. So once you have it stuck where you want it, just take that tab and push it up, and that's going to lock it into place. And just to show you how solid this is, let's go ahead and take the radar detector off for a second. Again, just by popping it off that. You can see this thing is literally, I mean, it is rock solid. So there's no way, this is very lightweight, extremely lightweight. It's got to be, I don't even know, half a pound, if that. I don't even think it's that. So once you have this in position where you want it, we'll go ahead and lock the radar detector back on. And then there's a knob on the side of the mount. When you have it angled the way you want it, which you do want this kind of nice and level with the truck. So once you get it nice and level, you can take that knob and go ahead and tighten that knob down over here on the side. This next part of the video is going to be for Tundra owners specifically. If you don't own a Tundra, or if you just want to run this, basically what at this point, once it's on the windshield, you can just take the power cord, plug it into the power port on the side, plug this into your cigarette lighter, and you're done. You're up and running, ready to rock, connect to the app, and you're good to go. Obviously, on our Tundra, the 12-volt plug is right up here in the dashboard. There's no way in heck I want a wire just hanging down right there. If you guys follow my channel, you know that just definitely is not going to fly. So as I mentioned, this next part of the video is going to be specifically for third-gen Tundra owners. If you don't own a Tundra, or if you are not going to install it the way I'm installing it, I'll put a timestamp on the screen for you. You can just go ahead and skip to that part. If you want to see how I am going to run it to power, here's how we're going to do it. So what we're going to do is, right here behind our rear view, this middle section, this small panel right there, if you take a plastic pry tool, that's going to pop right off. Okay, the reason we want to pop that off is, as you can see, it's got a U in it. So we're going to take our power cord, plug it into the side of the radar detector so we can get the right amount of slack, and then we're going to bring it up and feed it up behind this panel here to the side. Now I'm going to the passenger side. You can do this down the driver's side as well. This is just how I'm going to choose to run it, but you can tuck that up. And don't be afraid to use your plastic pry tool just to kind of pry this down just enough to get the cord up in there. And then once you have the right amount of slack, as you can see, we have it fed from the radar detector over here and then up behind this panel. And what that's going to allow us to do is feed it the rest of the way over to the A-pillar up above the headliner. You can tuck it up there where you'll never see it and no one will never know it's there. And once you have the right amount of slack right there, you can take this panel here that has the U on it. Just make sure you don't pinch your cord. Slide it back down in the slots. Pop it back up on there. And now we can continue running our cord over here, and I'll show you where we're going to go from there. We have our cable over into the corner here. Now we're just going to go ahead and remove our grab handle and our A-pillar. Take a very small flathead screwdriver and just very carefully, so you don't mark up any of the external surfaces. Go ahead and pop them 2 caps off. And now you can see there's 2 10mm bolts exposed. Go ahead and remove those. Pop the grab handle off like so. And now we can get at our A-pillar and just very carefully remove that. And as you can see, we don't even have to fully remove it. We could just take our cord, snake it down through, and there's actually a wiring harness in the back here. You can't miss it. So I'm just going to kind of follow that. I might even zip tie to that if I have to, but I don't even think we're going to have to be honest with you. So I'm just going to work my way down with our cable until we get to the bottom down here, and then it's pretty much smooth sailing. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop our A-pillar back into place now, because once we get down to here, we're good to go. So just make sure you're not pinching anything when you put the A-pillar back in place. Wire's totally hidden back there. So now we can take our 2 bolts and put our grab handle on before we go any further. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that back on, and I'll pick back up with you. You can see where we're at with the wiring here. So now all we're going to do is pop the side panel off. Again, plastic pry tool, get in the crease, pop that straight off like so. And now we have easy access to run it down behind this. There's a little brace right here. We can tuck this down behind there. And now we have easy access to run it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run it back to my dual battery setup in the bed of the truck. From here, you can run it to wherever you want. If you have a hybrid, if you want to run it to underneath your rear seat to the battery, if you want to run it up to the fuse box under the hood, it's going to be totally up to you. This is going to be a little unique for me because I'm running it straight back to my dual battery setup in the back that we have for our overlanding. So we cut off the 12-volt power supply, pulled back some of the outer sheathing, and now we have the positive and the negative exposed. So I'm just going to grab some wire. We're going to extend it using butt connectors like I've done 100 times on this channel, and we'll run the wiring all the way back to the batteries. All right, as you can see, we have our wiring extended. Now the wiring coming off of the power cord for the detector is 22 gauge. I used 18 gauge to extend it just because of the length that we're going to. Is it needed? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I'd rather have it, you know, just to make sure we get good power supply. So we just used our butt connectors, extended it. And if you follow the channel, you've seen me wire 100 things on this truck. So I'm not going to go into crazy detail. Basically, all we did is feed it back underneath that panel there, and it pops out back here in the rear seat. And all of these panels just literally just pop off. There's nothing to them, again, so I'm not going to go into crazy detail. We ran the wiring up underneath this panel here, right up underneath that lip. It pops out down there, or in here, I should say. And again, all we did was pop that top panel off. There's a grommet back in there. You can see all my wiring, you know, where all the wiring is running to. When you pop down through that grommet, you're going to pop underneath the truck. And then we literally just ran it. It's behind this panel, so it comes out of that grommet right in down in that area underneath the truck, and we just fed it, ran it up behind this panel, and then into the bed through that grommet there. And again, if you're new to the channel, if you don't know, we have a dual battery set up back in here, 250 amp hours for all of our accessories. We run our heater, our fan, all that good stuff when we're camping and things like that. So we just brought the wiring over and we connected directly to the bus bars. Now this is something that's going to be totally up to you, whether or not you want to connect to constant power, or if you want to connect it to a circuit that only gets power when the truck is running. This thing draws extremely low power, plus there's an on-off switch on it, which I'll show you when we go over the details and the functions on this thing. I just ran it directly to my bus bar, so it's always getting power if I want it to be. I don't need the truck to be running. Again, something that's totally up to you, but we just ran the positive to our positive bus bar, negative to the negative bus bar, and now we're hooked up. Let's go take a look at this thing and all the features it offers, and we'll take a look at the app as well. Truck is back together. Let's take a look at this thing. So as you can see, we have the app pulled up so you can view that as well. I'm going to go over the device itself really quickly, but then we're going to cover all of the settings and things in the app, because basically anything you can do in the app, you can do on the device itself. So I'm not going to go over, you know, both as far as the settings and customization go. As you can see, we have a knob on the side here. This is another reason why I'm not worried about having this ran to constant power. You can actually turn it off right here at the device. It's a volume control knob, but if you turn it all the way, you'll hear it click and it actually powers the device down, so it won't be, you know, drawing any current. Even if you forget to turn this off though, it has such an extremely low current draw, it will not kill your battery unless you leave it on for an extremely long time without starting the truck. So the front obviously is your main radar detection. You have this little knob here that is your rear facing radar detection, your main display, which you're going to see in a second. Up on top, you have all of your buttons, and this is a very nice layout. I like, what I mean by that is the way they have these buttons set up. They're raised and kind of staggered, I guess. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. Maybe I'll try to put a picture on the screen. But if you have this up on the windshield, you can very easily just reach up there, and even if you can't see the buttons, you can tell what button you're on because of the way they have it set up and the way they have these staggered and raised. So very nice design on the buttons. Very sleek profile, which I also like. On the other side, you have your power location, of course, and your micro USB to plug it into the computer. So let's go ahead and turn the knob and turn it on, and you'll see the startup sequence.
Testing. System ready.
So you can see it just says testing, system ready, gives you your battery voltage, and then it automatically connects to the app, which is very nice. You don't have to go in and connect or hit any buttons or anything like that. It just automatically connects to the app once it's powered up and running. So you can see your main display here. You have your signal strength on the far right-hand corner there. We have the quiet drive off, which is why you see that the speaker with the line through it. You can see you can tell the radar's working by watching that bar go back and forth. Your current miles per hour, and also the speed limit, which you're just seeing dashes because obviously we're just parked in my driveway right now. Now, if you wanted to change menu settings or anything like that on the device itself, very easy to do. You can see, I'll put a picture on the screen as I'm showing you this, just in case, you know, the glare is bad or anything, but it has a menu button. If you click on that menu button, it'll take you into the menu settings.
Menu.
And then you literally just use the arrow buttons up on top to go kind of cycle through and change what you want to change. Again, I'm not going to go into this in crazy detail on here. I'm going to show you more on the app, but again, I just want to mention anything I show you on the app, you can also do on the device here.
Exit menu.
Let's take a look at the app and all of the features on here. So your main screen is going to be your mapping screen. You can use this for directions if you want. Obviously, I still prefer to use Waze, to be honest, but you can use this for mapping if you choose. You have your speed limit. Again, we're in my driveway, so that's why you're just seeing dashes. Your current speed is next to that. The button over here where it says it shows the two vehicles, and this arrow down here, that's just to change the view of the map, basically, if you want to customize it. There's a little speaker right there. You can turn the volume on and off. But where we want to focus mainly is if you click on these three dots here. This is going to bring you into your main menu, I guess, if for lack of better words. There's two different groups of settings that you can go in and change on this thing. Let's focus on the app settings first, and then I'll show you the difference between the other set of settings that we're going to go into. So if you click on app settings, that's exactly what it is. These settings are for the app itself, not necessarily for the radar detector. Okay, so what I mean by that is, as you can see, alert audio, that's talking about through the app. You can change the app language, the disable auto lock so your screen won't lock on you on your phone screen. You can change your vehicle icon on the map. Obviously we have it set to car, but you can change it to arrow or dot. So these are all settings that are basically going to be focused on the app itself, not so much the detector. Okay, you can set to get an alert if you're, you know, so many miles an hour over the speed limit. Again, alert on the phone, not on the detector. The other feature that you may want to come in here and adjust is where it says day-night mode. We have it to automatic, but if you come in here and change that, the map itself, your main screen, so if you set that to night, it'll darken the screen, and then obviously we have it on automatic, so it's on day, so you'll see the brighter screen. Okay, so again, that just kind of focuses on the app itself, not the actual detector. Going back to the main menu, the account is just going to show you your information. Gallery Live View, that actually doesn't work with this one, with this device. So just so you know, that's why I'm not going to go in there or show you anything. So if we'll back out of there, the account, as I mentioned, is going to be your information. So I'm not going to click on there. It'll show you your email, your contact information, that kind of thing. Like basically what you have to use to set up your account. Where we want to focus mainly is the very top option right there where it says devices. So if we click on that, that's going to bring us into this screen here where it shows TRD Pro. Again, you have to enter that when you make your account. Well, you don't have to, but I did. That's why it's showing there. So RAD 700i showing it's connected, and then the gear icon right there. If we click on that, that's where you're going to go into all of the settings that you can change on the detector itself using the buttons on the device. So this is basically where you're going to want to, you know, kind of fine tune and set it up the way you want. About the device, I'm not going to go into every single one. A lot of it's self-explanatory. You can rename the device if you want. The about the device will just show you what software you're running, all that, you know, that kind of stuff. Under general, you can see you can change the language, your units. You can turn the voice that you hear on the speaking on the device on or off. These two options here, low voltage alert and smart power, you want to have those on if you have this connected to constant power like I do. Basically, that'll just alert you if your battery does start getting to the point where you're putting a pretty good drain on it. This will give you an alert, and then smart power will actually decrease the current draw from the detector, just to kind of save your battery. So if you do have this run to constant power like I do, just make sure you have those two settings on. And then down underneath that, we have our interface. So you can go to brightness, display color, detail, screensaver. Brightness, I'll show you real quick. We have our set to maximum, but again, as I mentioned, there's no issue. Even if we go to minimum, I can still see that screen plain as day. And then full dark is basically going to turn your display off, so you only see that bar going back and forth there. So I'm going to put it back to maximum, but again, you can easily see that display there. So you can go in and adjust the brightness if you want. Display color, you have 5 different options. I have it set to blue, but there's a white, green, red, and yellow. We'll go back to blue. I do wish the blue was a little bit more of like a royal blue to match the backlighting on our dash, but whatever, it is what it is. It's just kind of nitpicking a little bit, but you can choose between those 5 colors. The detail option, you can come in here and click less or more. Basically, this is the detail that your display screen is going to show you. I have it set to more just because I want to see all of the details and that kind of thing. When it does actually pick up a radar, you'll get more detail that way. But again, just you can customize it the way you want it. Screensaver, I have mine off, but you can come in and set it to 1 minute or 3 minutes. What that's going to do is if you do turn it on, once you hit the desired time, that display is going to turn off and you'll just see that bar going back and forth. Again, I have mine off, but it draws such a low current, I don't mind having that display on at all times unless I turn it off using the volume knob. Then you can kind of come down here and see the rest of the options. You can set it to where you get an alert if you're over the speed limit. I have that off because I have 3 other spots I can check and see what kind of, how fast I'm going. Your marker settings, red light camera, speed camera, and speed trap. So as I mentioned, it's all the stuff that you can customize on the device itself. It's just a little easier, quicker, and a little more user-friendly in the app itself. The cruise alert, that is a pretty cool feature. So what that is, if you're under a certain speed, which we have ours set at 20, it's going to stop giving you alerts if you're under 20 miles an hour. Where or why that comes in handy is, if you've never had a radar detector before, there are different things that can give it a false alarm or set it off. If you're coming up, if you're driving through a grocery store parking lot and you're by the door, the automatic sliding door, sometimes that'll set a radar detector off, just things like that. So if you're under 20 miles an hour, you won't get those alerts. So I definitely think that's a good feature to have and turn off. Because honestly, if you're going under 20, you're not worried about, getting caught speeding or anything like that anyway. So but you can change that 20 as well, just so you know. I have it set to 20, but you can adjust that as needed. Pretty cool feature to have on there. Last section down here, you can see what it is. K-low band enable, caution area, quiet drive. Quiet drive, from what I understand, if you turn that on, it's basically going to mute the alerts in the voice. I have that off because obviously I want to hear that, but that's what it is from what I understand. The auto learn is another cool feature that this 700i has. What that is, if you let's say you're like my drive to work. It's a drive I make 5-6 days a week. Let's say there was some kind of radar or something on that drive that just kept setting this off, and it's something I didn't have to worry about, giving me false alarms, I guess, for lack of better words. It can auto learn that that's a false alarm, and it'll stop going off at that location. Typically in this price range for radar detectors, you can go into the device and manually mark a spot if you're driving, making the same drive over and over, and you come across something like that. This thing has the auto learn function where it'll just kind of teach itself that that's a false alarm and it doesn't need to go off anymore at that location. Then you have your auto mute, your sensitivity, which I have mine at high. I'm going to test this out a little bit on high, and then I'll play with the settings a little bit more once I get some seat time with this thing. Right now we have it set to high just to see what happens. And then lastly, your band settings. Again, that's your K-band, KA, laser, X-band, and that kind of thing. So very detailed list of settings you can come in here and customize and change. So this app, I definitely love it. And as I mentioned, this is where I'm going to be customizing and setting up, playing with the settings and messing around with this thing. It's easy enough to do on the device, but this app is set up really nicely, very user-friendly, and it's basically loaded with features, as you can tell. All right, we're going to wrap this video up here. This was mainly to show you the features and functions and how to get this thing installed. My first impressions are, I can't wait to test this thing out. Very sleek design, very user-friendly, as I mentioned. I have some high hopes for this thing, especially after doing the research on it and reading the other reviews I've seen on it. I really think Cobra did a good job with this detector as far as the design and the user interface and that type of thing. Performance-wise, stay tuned. We're going to do a follow-up on this after I get some seat time with it. With all the driving I do, it's not going to take me long to see how well this thing works as far as the detection settings and all that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe, turn on that bell. I'll do a follow-up in the near future on how well this thing is performing, and hopefully we can get your questions answered for you. If you have any questions on anything I covered in this video as far as the install or just kind of going over the features, drop them down below. We'll get them addressed and get you taken care of. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching as always. So let me know what you think, and stay tuned for the review after we get some seat time with this. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.